Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off.
Do you ever feel like life is a never-ending series of lessons while you try to find purpose, meaning, and answers? I am Vanessa Fontana, the host of Figuring Shit Out, a podcast where we undertake self-help, coming of age, and healing. As I live my 20s in New York City figuring shit out myself, I've realized that if you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, you don't have a life. You have an act. On Figuring Shit Out, every Sunday, you get to normalize the journey of not knowing and be guided into living your life with more intention and ease.
Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Michael Anthony here from Think Unbroken, and I am back answering another one of your questions from my AMA. I want to preface this as usual that I am not a therapist or psychologist. I cannot diagnose you, and I will not give you prescriptions. So if you need help, please go and get it. If you need resources, check out thinkunbroken.com/resources. Or if you are honestly in a medical emergency, please call 911. This is not a solution. This is only my advice. And I had this amazing question come across. Two people ask a very similar question, so I'm going to group them together. One was, does the struggle ever end? And will I ever not be impacted by trauma? So I've actually shared thoughts on this before. I've had some back and forth with some people. Some people seem to disagree with what I say. That's fine. Ultimately, I've come to understand in what I'm doing is that we are not always going to be the answer that everyone wants to hear. So understand this very carefully, please. This is my opinion. I do not know that you will ever wake up and not be impacted by trauma. I just don't know that that exists. Every day you are going to wake up and that will be a part of your life. Now, this is with the understanding that if we are built, this current moment right now, today, is on the baseline of all of our experiences leading up to this very moment, then it is fair to say that based on that hypothesis, that everything that we've experienced up to this moment is who we are. Thus, if we've experienced trauma, trauma is a part of who we are. Now, that said, does the impact of trauma stay with you? No. No, and I will tell you why. Because today, as I sit here right now, I am a different person than the man who used to be impacted by trauma. So what does that look like and how does it go away? Because obviously that's the follow-up question. I could say no and then be like, bye guys, see ya. But that's not going to help anyone. So what is it that actually happens in this process of healing that reverses the impact of trauma? First, I think that it starts with, and I've mentioned this before, education. One of the most important books on the foundation of trauma is Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score. If you have not read this book, stop watching this video, go to Amazon.com, buy The Body Keeps the Score, read that book, and then come back and watch this video. Because I'm telling you right now, like the science, understanding the way that the brain works, its neuroplasticity, the way that body carries trauma, intergenerational trauma, and the list goes on and on. Understanding these things are going to be the catalyst for you creating growth and change in your life. Now, trauma is something that is not exclusively, let's be clear about what trauma is. Trauma is something that is not exclusively the action of what happened, right? So you have a traumatic experience, PTSD, CPTSD follow this experience. Trauma comes after the experience. So let's say, for instance, here's an example. You're in a car crash. That is a traumatic experience. The trauma of the car crash is your broken arm, right? And so eventually we know broken arms will heal with a proper treatment and care. Oh, but what about mental trauma? The same. And here is why. Because I know for certain, my experience, that this has been what's happened. Before I started down my journey into really diving in and really becoming a person who educated themselves in trauma, and for me, like I didn't do any of this for, I'm gonna be real with you guys, I didn't do this for you. When I started this process, I had to do it for me first. Like it's just like being in the airplane, oxygen mask on first. You take care of you, then you help the world. And what I noticed when I really dove in, when I started doing the work to kind of figure out what it was that was happening in my life, because here's what happened. I was obese, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, I was drinking every night, I was high every day, I had a bunch of money but was just making my life worse. My life was miserable. Trauma had consumed me. I was in the vortex. I was in this place where everything just felt unreal. I don't know how else to put that. It felt like I was living a life that wasn't real. It certainly wasn't authentic, and I was terrified to step into who I am today. Now, because of trauma, I was dissociated, and you've heard me say this word over and over again, and I will continue because this is one of the biggest things that happens as a survivor of trauma. You will be dissociated, very likely. Not everyone, but it's likely that you will. I was. And so my dissociation left me feeling constantly just in anguish, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, like everything. It was so awful to be me. Every day, I fucking hated myself. This is the same reason that at 13, 14 years old, I took a bottle of Advil and downed that shit trying to kill myself. Not realizing like if you do that, you're probably just gonna throw up and have a really bad couple of days. The same reason on my 26th birthday that I put a gun in my mouth, because I hated my life, because that is the impact of trauma. Trauma takes from you whatever idea, thought, or gleam, notion of happiness you might have, and it destroys it, right? Until this is where it's really important. I want you to stay with me until you make a decision to change, right? The impact of trauma will stay with you until you decide to do something about it, because we innately are human beings that thrive in suffering. Like that is just the human capacity. For whatever fucking reason, we don't do anything until it's like we go to the doctor and the doctor goes, dude, you got lung cancer, you've been smoking cigarettes for 40 years, and then suddenly you go cold turkey, right? That's rock bottom. And it took me rock bottom to create and implement changes. So I want you to do that before you hit rock bottom, because mine was ugly and it was dark and I don't want anybody going there. So what does it look like once you go and you do the work? And the work can be a myriad of things. It can be therapy, it can be yoga, it can be meditation, it can be journaling, it can be support groups, it can be going to the gym, it could be a lot of things. But at the baseline of what it is, it's accountability. You have got to start showing up for yourself and going through the processes of doing the things that make you better. If you have a broken arm, coming back to what we talked about earlier, and you don't get it, and you don't put a cast on it, and you don't go to the doctor, and you don't get an x-ray, and you don't go to the hospital, and you're just going back to work, swinging this arm around, guess what? What's going to happen? It's not going to heal, right? We know this. Okay, we've gone through trauma. So let's call it, for example, our brain is now our broken arm, and we have this trauma lingering in us. It's impacting us in negative ways. If we don't go to the doctor, or whatever that modality is, right? I'm doing air quotes if you're just listening to this. If we don't go through those practices, then that trauma is never going to change. So the impact of it in time will dissipate slowly but surely over time. And you have to be patient. I want to be very clear about this. Be patient with yourself because it takes a long time. A decade into being serious about this work, I am still doing it every day. Every day I have my routines, I have my practices, I have the things that I do so that I can mitigate the impact of the trauma in my life. So what does that feel like? Well, first off, you need a place where you have the safety to just talk about the things that have happened to you. That can be a support group, that can be therapy. Then you need to create a thought process change in your life, right? So if you are talking negatively about yourself, you need to stop. And you go, well, how the fuck do I do that? Great question. And sometimes it's as easy as you just stop. And sometimes it's you need the tools to understand why you're talking to yourself negatively. There's an amazing book, Tara Brach's. It's called Radical Acceptance. Go and read that book. It will change your life because it will help you understand how to accept yourself for who you are. It was the most important book that I've ever read in my journey of self-talk. One day, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I don't know how long it's going to take. You are going to wake up and you are going to love yourself. And it will be the greatest fucking day of your life. Because that is my experience, and I know it can happen for you. Because I tried to fucking kill myself, and my life is amazing now because I did all of the work. And it's hard, and it's dark, and it's dirty, and nobody wants to do it. Reality, we didn't sign up for this shit. Truth, no part of me ever wanted to do this. I never wanted to be this guy. But my life is incredible because every day I wake up and I get to put my feet on the ground and be thankful for life because of all of the work that I've had to do. And it was dark, and a lot of that journey was tedious, and a lot of that journey was me coming to reconciliation with myself about a lot of things I've done. And there's forgiveness, and there's hope, and there's happiness, and all of these things. And the way that trauma exists with me right now is that it's something that's just there. It doesn't impact me. It doesn't inform my decisions. And when it does, and on these off moments when I happen to be triggered, when I happen to go into this place, I revert back to the tools that I started building a decade ago so that I get back out of the vortex. Because if in the moment that your mindset changes to something negative and you have the tool to offset that, you're good. And I think we get lost in that. I wish I'd go in deeper, guys, but my 10 minutes is up. I want to go deeper. If you have more questions about this, DM me, message me, email me, Michael@ThinkUnbroken. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I believe in you. We can do this. You can heal. I promise. You just have to do the work.
Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. and I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.